Boom shakalaka, how's it going everyone? It's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United with a little video for you. Live stream today here just to talk about some of the latest Manchester United news. Obviously I've not been able to do too many videos the last week because I've been working and stuff, but it's my day off today. Come on my son, get in there. So here I am to discuss Manchester United with you guys. It's been a while obviously. Hope you're all doing well. There's a lot going on at Manchester United and also nothing. We are being linked to absolutely everybody in the world. Most of which is complete rubbish, of course, because a lot of these players are going to be going to the top clubs in Europe currently, who are challenging for major honours and who can give them Champions League football and things like that. So United are being linked with lots of players, but Woodward, Potato Boy, he's not actually been able to do anything so far really. Okay, we signed Daniel James, good signing, good young signing from the Championship. Don't get me wrong, though. I think that's the sort of player, good young prospect that we could do with right now at Manchester United. Someone who's hungry. He's got pace for days. He looks dangerous. Looks like a prospect. Young. Of course, that is a good signing. But we should have had freaking 5 of those by now. And a couple of major signings. This is pretty slow from United. I thought we need a major rebuild job this summer. Everybody knows that. Surely United are going to get their business done early. Surely that freaking Potato King upstairs is going to be able to get his checkbook out and give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the signings that we so desperately need. But I am wondering what sort of business we are going to get done come the end of the season, because from what we've done so far, it's not, it's not great. I mean, the end of the transfer window. So, yes, it's bad times at United, but there are a lot of players being linked with United. Some of the players I wanted to talk about today are sort of realistically linked to Manchester United. There's a couple of players that, that we're being talked about having interest in that are probably not going to happen at all. But certainly Wan-Bissaka is a player that Manchester United could do with. He's a player that had a great breakout season last year for Palace, player of the season for them. He's a great physical defensive player as well, which is something that United have maybe lacked in that area for a long time. 21 years of age, homegrown, need I say more? He is obviously a good talent. I would be happy if Manchester United signed him. There's talks of a £40 million bid being knocked back by Crystal Palace and Manchester United tabling a bigger bid somewhere in the region of maybe 50 to 60 million pounds. It's a lot of money, but like I say, these homegrown players are more expensive. We do need them though, they're important. 21 years of age, only getting better. England under 21 star will represent England. So it would make sense. It sounds like it would be a good signing for Manchester United to get him in there. Plus, United have lacked serious balls this last year. We could certainly do with Wan-Bissaka. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to get Wan-Bissaka in there. Now, obviously, Wan-Bissaka would be a good signing for United. He would give us a bit more physicality. He's young. We've only seen a season from him, really, but I am happy in the talent of the lad. I think he'd only get better. Obviously, the last season he had at Palace was remarkable, really fantastic season for them. So he would be a player that would certainly add to the side. Everybody who's tuning in right now, thanks for stopping by on the live stream. Shout out to you, Billy T. Shout out to you, Navaneeth Ravi. He comments and says, "Hey Pig, I think Bissaka is too expensive." Well, unfortunately, the transfer market is crazy at the moment, and everybody knows United need signings. They know they can sort of hold United to ransom, if you like. They've got us bent over the metaphorical barrel here because they know we need signings. We know we're dealing in a sort of smaller pool of players because we can't really go out there and bring in the big marquee signers, nor should we. But we can't actually bring them in here because of the lack of Champions League football and just currently where Manchester United are right now. There's teams that are also looking to strengthen, the likes of Bayern or the likes of Real or the likes of even City and Liverpool in this country. It's going to be difficult to convince players, top players, to come here rather than go there at this particular moment in time, which obviously is disgraceful, but it's kind of true. So we're dealing in that second tier of players, if you like, the players that are showing serious potential, the players that can maybe take that next step, that next leap to being at the top rung of football and play for the top teams and compete for major honours. And they can do that, hopefully, at Manchester United. So players like Wan-Bissaka, who's had a great season for Palace, everyone's sniffing around him, everyone wants him. He's a player that would relish the opportunity of putting on that red shirt. I would imagine, I know he's played for Palace since he's about 11. So obviously he does have a love and an affinity of Palace. They've given him his chance. He was their player of the season last year. So for him, I'm sure he's a bit torn, But playing for Manchester United is a boy's dream, really. I mean, the fact that he was born 10 years after me absolutely sickens me. To me, it's a boy's dream. Maybe to him, I don't know, he grew up with a bit of Chelsea, bit of Arsenal, and United mixed in there. But to me, as a kid, it was all about United. Everybody knew that. So everyone wanted to play for United. Now, I think he would still relish the opportunity. It's a big step up. Obviously, I'm sure he'd be paid well, but it's an opportunity for him to cement himself as one of the top right backs or top defenders in Europe, really. Only getting better, 21 years of age. It's a lot of money. It is. I know what you're saying. 50 or 60 million pounds for a 21-year-old right back who's not really, okay, he's had one great season, but who's not really done it at the top level. It's not like he's proven consistently. But that's what I mean. United are having to go for those types of players at the moment, the sort of secondary melt jobs, if you like. But there's still gems in there, of course. Potential is fantastic, especially what we need right now is players that have a bit of heart, a bit of bottle, who have that hunger, who have that desire, who maybe aren't seasoned veterans out there who are just looking for a big pay packet. They are looking for an opportunity to actually cement themselves as a top player. So I think he would be a great signing for Manchester United, even though the money is absolutely crazy. I do agree with you, but the way the transfer market and everything's gone, it's sort of in keeping with that, really. How's it going, everyone? Salty96 comments and says, "What's up, mate? What do you think Daniel James will bring to the team?" Well, he's got pace for days. He should be one of those flying wingers. Hopefully, he could be the next Giggsy. That's what I'm thinking. Welsh winger, young, hungry. He's looked good from what I've seen from him. And I haven't seen a great deal, but clips and highlights and things like that. He looks very dangerous. He looks like he could really come on the pitch. He could just absolutely blaze the defender down the right-hand side or whatever and just whip a ball in. That's all you really need from a winger at times. Valencia did it for us when he came in from Wigan Athletic. He just got down the line, whipped a ball in, and it was very, very effective. So I think he could bring that to the side, but he does look technically gifted, so I'm hoping that he can go on to be that sort of a player. I mean, if he's half the player of Ryan Giggs over the next 5 or 6 years, then we'd be happy, wouldn't we? So I think it's a good signing, but at the same time, United needed a few of these signings by now. We're slowing our business. We're slowing in our business this summer. It is really not up to standard. Woodward, I don't know what that guy actually does. He sits around thinking about potatoes and maybe fathering Mark Goldbridge, because there's a sort of similarity there. And I don't know what he actually does with his time, this man. Because, of course, he is chief exec at Manchester United, but he's also in charge of bringing players into the club. That shouldn't be the case. We should obviously have some sort of a director of football in there who oversees the transfer dealings of the club, who liaises with the manager, finds out the style of play, finds out the hit list of players they want to sign, go out there and freaking sign those players because they've got connections within the game. For instance, if you've got Rio Ferdinand or Edwin van der Sar or whatever he's talking a delight, it's a lot better than Potato King Woodward. Phoning them up. I'm sure Van der Sar, somebody like that. Obviously, I'm not saying him. He's done a tremendous job over at Ajax, but somebody in that ilk, maybe an ex-United man, but more importantly, just somebody who understands football, who has the connections, who actually maybe was an ex-player. I think that does help. So I think Manchester United shouldn't even be with this man Woodward. He's proven time and time again that he's poor at his job. We shall see. There's still a lot of time left. Obviously, it's only June. But of course, from what we've seen so far, it's been a slow window for Manchester United. Daniel James, good young signing. Where's the rest of them? Let me get on to the next man. So just to clarify, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, potential for Manchester United. That could happen. Realistically, that's a good option for him. It's a good option for us. And maybe some of the other clubs right now are not quite looking to strengthen it in those areas like some of the other areas they are. Which brings me on to Harry Maguire, which is another player, of course, a player I'd like to see play at Manchester United. Just think he does have that bottle. Statistically, you look at the players like Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, what they don't do in the Premier League, just look at the stats. Then there's some of the top defenders around last season anyway. So those would be good players. Harry Maguire, it may take a lot of money to get him off Leicester because they really do not want to sell him. Why would they? Homegrown, great talent, come through the ranks. He's proved himself a great ball-playing defender. And of course, he's going to be pretty much a stalwart for England over the next few years, you'd imagine, under Gareth Southgate. So it's they would surely want to keep hold of him. He signed a new contract last season amidst rumours that he would be coming to Manchester United for a big 75 million, 80 million pound deal, which didn't materialise because United didn't want to pay that sort of money. Will we want to pay that sort of money again? a la Woodward and the Glazers? Probably not. So I don't, I would love to see it happen. I think Manchester United should try and get him, because there's all talk of Manchester City wanting to sign Harry Maguire as well. And of course, if the opportunity came to Harry Maguire's door to play for Manchester United or play for Manchester City at this moment in time, what's he going to do? Because he knows Manchester City have lost company this summer. Maybe they're losing Otamendi. He's not featured too much for them. Maybe wants more first-team football. So Harry Maguire could go in there. English ball-playing defender, somebody that maybe Pep Guardiola would like, just because of the type of player that he is. He already has defenders like that, the likes of Laporte or John Stones, similar sorts of players, really. But I know Harry Maguire wouldn't go in there and have that opportunity every single week. I know that. He would know that. He's got tremendous competition if he was to go to Man City. Whereas at Manchester United right now, surely he's going to dislodge Jones and Smalling from the side. It's not like they're keeping him out of the side for any long spell. So I think for him as a career move, it actually makes more sense to go to Manchester United. Yes, he could go to City. He could play 15, 20, 25 games a year or whatever, get the medals at the moment, because they are the best team in the country at the moment, or certainly up there, with Liverpool. They won the Premier League, so they are the best team. But yeah, they're a real prospect of signing him, because they could. He would surely go there. They'd obviously be able to pay the wages. They could afford him, that sort of thing. Manchester United, on the other hand, it seems like we're not prepared to pay that sort of money right now. And it is a shitload of money, don't get me wrong. But United's such an entity commercially that we can afford these sorts of deals. But maybe we shouldn't, because we don't want another player to come to the club that is paid a ridiculous amount of money, and we've paid a ridiculous amount of money for, and then it doesn't work out. Because we need players that are capable of coming in right now and improving Manchester United pretty much instantly in performing, which you can never guarantee. But of course, Maguire does seem to have the bottle and the heart and desire to be a top player in the game. And he has done a tremendous job at Leicester. I love the way that he leads. I love the way that he plays. Good, great, ball playing, passing, aerial battles, all that sort of thing from him is fantastic. That's what we need. We've been gash at defending set pieces. We're gash at keeping hold of the ball at the back. We could do with a player like him who's comfortable on the ball, who can distribute the ball, and who can also bloody defend. Because we've had Jones, No Bones, Chris Muldong too long, and they are not doing a good job, are they? So we definitely need people to come in there and improve those positions. He would be a great acquisition for Manchester United at this moment in time, because he does have the best years ahead of him. He is a quality player. He's shown that over the last few seasons, or last couple of seasons, certainly at Leicester. So to me, it's a no-brainer. If we can get the deal done, get it done. But of course, the money has to be right. We don't want to be bent over a barrel, but Leicester City won't want to get rid of him. And if they do want to get rid of him, Man City may be prepared to pay more. Man City may want him. Also, Man City may not want him, because like I say, they do have other defenders in that position. Harry Maguire is maybe not their top priority. But like I said, Vincent Kompany left. And maybe Otamendi. We shall see what happens there. But yeah, I would like to see him at the club. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section, because it's an important summer for United. We've bottled it so far. We need to bring in some quality. We need to bring in a lot of players, in my opinion. I know at the end of last season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said there wouldn't be that much of a huge movement in the transfer window, and he would just bring in a few players, and maybe a few players would leave. Well, we've got rid of quite a few players, or there's some of the younger players and fringe players and things like that. But we haven't actually got rid of any of the players that are shite in the first team, have we? We haven't got rid of the likes of Ashley Young, who won't be going, the likes of Phil Jones and Chris Smalling, who probably won't be going. And we haven't got rid of the big money people either, the likes of Sanchez, the likes of Lukaku, the likes of Pogba, who in my opinion shouldn't be at Manchester United. But that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree with that. But United are, of course, a team that struggled last year with those big prima donnas in there who are being paid an absolute huge whack, and they shouldn't be. Sanchez needs to go. I mean, Pogba, people argue, build the team around him. He's a quality player. I've not seen enough from Paul Pogba to warrant that. Get him on his bike. That's my opinion. If Real Madrid want to pay 100 million for him, then I say we cash in and we start again. We cash in, we try someone else, because that I don't think is ever going to work out 100%. I think he will work out in another club. For some reason at United, it's just not the right fit for Paul Pogba. He doesn't get the pressure. He can't handle the pressure in the Premier League there. He melts. He's a melter. But of course, he is a quality player. We've seen that for France, and when he was at Juventus, maybe Juventus want him back. Maybe United could broker some sort of deal where we get Ronaldo and they get Pogba, But it's all airy-fairy, isn't it? Mojo K comments and says, it just shows how good Lukaku is when he's playing with Hazard and De Bruyne than with Rashford and Lingard. Well, you bring up a very good point. Let's talk about Romelu Lukaku. Because I didn't put his name in this title because there's talk of his future at Manchester United. And we saw in the game last night against Scotland that he got himself a brace. Great performance from him. Fantastic, really. So he scored like 48 goals for Belgium now, which is a really good amount of goals. For an international player to score at this point in his career as well. You know, the current strike rate, he could go on to get 90 goals for Belgium. So, or maybe not quite that many, but he is obviously a very gifted player. And when he plays for Belgium, with the quality that they've got in there, you can see that he is a danger. He was fantastic for Everton, scored 25 goals plus a season for them consecutively. And for Manchester United, unfortunately, I think he got like 12 Premier League goals last year. So he's just not doing it for United, but it was an awful season for us. Everyone struggled. He was no exception, really. But he did have a gash time of it last year. Let's be honest, it was awful. My personal opinion on it is he is a good player. He's a very good player, but maybe he's just not quite the Manchester United type player that we've had. I talked about this previously in the past. United, I think, obviously there are a couple of exceptions here, but United, generally, we have quite quick, speedy, getting behind type strikers, great finishers, technically gifted players, intelligent players. If they're not speedy and nippy in behind, I'm talking about people like Ruud van Nistelrooy or, Solskjaer or Chicharito. Then they're intelligent type players. In players who are more like, like Teddy Sheringham or Berbatov, I don't know, but they're intelligent type players, whereas United, we don't really have that big physical lummox up there. Occasionally we have had physical players in those positions, Zlatan Ibrahimovic springs to mind, but he's also incredibly intelligent, incredibly gifted technically player, even though he's massive. So he doesn't quite fit the mould either. But United, I think, like to play that style. We like to play swift counter-attacking football. We like to get players in behind. We like to get the striker in behind in a lot of situations. And these days, obviously, you're playing less and less with two strikers. And I think Manchester United struggle playing to Lukaku's strengths. Lukaku's a great player. When you play to his strengths and you give him balls in the air and you deliver them perfectly and you use him as a hold-up man and allow the likes of De Bruyne and the likes of Hazard to be brought into play, and then Lukaku makes that run. He's a big lummox in the air. You can be very successful, and those players are obviously very, very gifted, and we don't have players of that quality right now at United. So you bring up a very good point, Mojo, because if he had better players around him who could deliver the ball to him like that, then he would be better. He would be scoring a lot more than 12 goals. He would be doing that in a better system of play anyway for him. Because if you look at the likes of Everton, when he was at West Brom, he scored goals for fun. And Manchester United have not been able to get him doing that. And that is partially down to the player, but it's also largely down to the system, largely down to the manager and the way that they were playing. And unfortunately for Lukaku, He's had a bit of a hit at Manchester United the last year, but of course we can see that he is a quality player when he plays for Belgium. So it's a pisser, isn't it? Sort your freaking self out, Romelu. Do it in the red shirt. No, in all honesty, I don't really blame the lad. I don't think we play to his strength, but I don't think United should be playing that type of football, in my opinion. Yes, he's a good option to have, but I don't think he'll ever be happy being that option. He wants to be first-team player. So if Everton or somebody wanted to come in, there's talk of Juventus, maybe Inter Milan, who would want to sign Romelu Lukaku for £75 million, then please come and get the lad. I know that is probably not, nice, but I just think he's not worked out very well at United, even though he is a quality player. I don't think the type of football that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to play will benefit Romelu Lukaku too much, but we shall see, obviously, if he does stick around. But I'd like to see us go out there and maybe sign another striker in this transfer window. In terms of what we should have done over the last year or so, Romelu Lukaku didn't feature as much as maybe he'd like, but he didn't score a lot of goals. He was out of form. We should have never got rid of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, should we really? I know he's over in MLS tearing it up and it's a shite league, but he is still class. Whereas, he actually was a match winner for us in a really shite team, the same shite team. And yet he was just a complete focal point for us and scored shitloads of goals. Should have never got rid of him. Anyway, Romelu Lukaku, not worked out United. It could work out for him, though, if Manchester United are prepared to improve and prepared to play the way that benefits Lukaku, then maybe you could see a much better performance from him generally next season. But I just don't think he's going to stick around too much longer. That's my opinion. Everybody who's tuning in right now, thanks for stopping by on the live stream. Apologies for the lack of videos recently. Been working a lot, but normal service will try and be resumed. I'll keep you up to date with any major stuff. To be honest, there's lots of speculation at the moment. I could have popped on and made a couple of minute video here and there, but there's lots of speculation, and none of it really is too concrete at the moment. I think the ones I'm talking about in the video today are realistic and are being negotiated at the moment. Certainly Wan-Bissaka. But there's so much speculation. I'm not going to talk about Dybala and Ronaldo and all these dream signings and all these people that could maybe come to Manchester United. I just want to talk about the realistic options that are coming to United. But everybody who's tuning in, smash a like on this video. Get your thoughts in the comment section. I'll try and read as many out as I possibly can while I'm on here. Set Piang comments and says, Bale to United. Well, Gareth Bale is out of favour over at Madrid. He has had a great time over there. He's won so many things. I think he's won 3 Champions Leagues. He's won a whole bunch of stuff. He's been a great player for them. You know, from what I've watched, from what I've seen, that goal where he sprints past that player in the Copa del Rey final to give them the win against Barcelona springs to mind some huge epic match-winning moments. Yet the Madrid fans freaking hate him. I don't know why they hate him, because he is a good player for them. I guess some of the comments that he's made recently are not good. I think he said something like, well, if they don't want to play me, or if the manager doesn't want me, or some shit like that, then I'll just play golf and collect my freaking 350k a week or whatever it is he's being paid. So I don't think they like him for that, but the fans have been on Bale's back for a while, ever since Ronaldo's left. I guess they were looking to Bale to sort of take that mantle and run with it and become that star match-winning player for Real Madrid. And I guess he's not really done that to the full extent. Obviously, he did have a struggling season, but Bale's a quality player. The only problem with Bale to United is, of course, he is a complete injury-prone numpty, isn't he? He's a sick note extraordinaire. This man, if he can get out of playing, he will. No, he's obviously just very injury-prone. He's a weakling in some ways. In other ways, he's an absolute physical specimen. Obviously, he's a complete pacemonger, and he's just a beast, man. Left foot, right foot, guy's an absolute beast. Some of the goals he scored, some of the football that I saw him play while he was in a Spurs shirt. Obviously, I've caught games here and there when he's playing for Real Madrid and the big games and highlights and things like that, but not so much. But when he was over at Spurs, man, I used to watch him all the time. He was absolutely majestic, certainly in those latter couple of years. That Inter Milan performance, that his breakout performance, from that moment on, he was a match winner for Spurs. He really, really was. And he went over to Madrid and he replicated that for them. He was fantastic for them in an amazing team, of course, fantastic team. We got Ronaldo up there, crazy team that they got. But Bale fitted in perfectly. He was absolutely fantastic for them. I would love to see him in a red shirt. I would. I wanted it to happen before he went there. He has had a torrid time recently with the media and the fans and that sort of thing over there, which would only increase the likelihood of him wanting to come back to the Premier League. I still think that he'd probably be better off from a career point of view to stick it out there and stay there, and he's at one of the best teams in the world where they are going to challenge and win things. But from a fan point of view, I would like to see him at United, but we're going to have to pay him a shit ton of money. You're talking a few £100,000 a week. Maybe we could get a player going in the opposite direction like Pogba, so the actual transfer fee wouldn't be so much. I'd love to see it, though. If you give me the option right now between Pogba and Bale, if we could do a straight swap, even though Bale is injury-prone, I would take him, man. And I would take him because I think he's a quality match winner. I think he would give us so much out there. He's very versatile. You can play him anywhere across the front line, really, and he's a beast. He is a quality player, but he's injury-prone. So you are going to expect him to break a freaking wing or break a leg at some point, because that's just the type of guy that he is. He's fragile. But we've had fragile players like that before at the club, and they've always done pretty well. The likes of Berbers, for instance. We've got injury-prone players at the club now anyway, players like Phil Jones who always get injured. So I don't think it would make much of a difference. But if you're paying somebody 300k a week, you want them to be fit a lot of the time. That's one of the things that's amazing about Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, he has had a couple of injuries here and there. But generally, he has always been fit most of the time, and that is what makes him such a great player, because he's just such a physical specimen. He's always in the zone. He's never really having to recover too much from injuries, a lot of injuries. And obviously, a lot of injuries for players are really bad. Look at the likes of Michael Owen, completely hindered his career. He would have probably gone down as one of the best strikers of all time. In my opinion, he sort of was, especially when he was younger. But in the latter days, you saw the drop off because of all the injuries, and he wasn't able to do that. So anyway, I've gone off on a tangent, but Gareth Bale is a little injury prone melt. I would like to see him at the club. I think he's quality. If we could broker some sort of deal with Pogba going in the opposite direction, I'd say do it. We got a comment here from Muddy Views and who comments and says, "Who's Daniel James? Is he overhyped?" I don't really know if he's overhyped. I just think £18 million is actually a reasonable amount of money to pay for these sorts of players now, which seems ridiculous. A young 19-year-old from the Championship, like, I'm paying £18 million for him, based on what? The last season. I mean, yeah, he has done well in the Championship. He has looked really good. But it's a lot of money to pay for a youngster like that. But I think from what we've seen from him, he does look good. We need players who are hungry. He's got pace for days. He's a flying winger. Of course, it's a gamble. Any signing's a gamble. We could sign a top quality player like Pogba. We could sign a top quality player like Lukaku for huge money, or Sanchez for huge money, and it not work out. So in terms of gambles, I don't think it's too much of a gamble. Maybe there's a lot of hype around him just because there's a lot of hype around any player who signs for United. It's like when we signed Marcus Rojo, or we signed Daley Blind, or these players. It's like we knew a little of them, not a lot. But then we speculate when they come to United, and we think that they're good players and have a lot of potential. And in a lot of cases they are, but also in other cases they don't. It doesn't pan out for them. So it's a gamble. Daniel James, we shall see how he does. I hope that he's a really good addition to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's squad and he does get opportunities, because we don't have players in that position, right wing, for instance, where we need actually improvement. Alexis Sanchez as a melter needs to go, need to get him off our books. He's being paid a ridiculous amount of money. Please leave the club. And Wan-Bissaka is a great player in the hole, but I don't think he's a good out on in a wide position. He's just not quick enough. He's not physical enough. So I think somebody like Daniel James maybe could give us something this season. But like I say, if we could get Gareth Bale, or like the previous commenter said, then maybe that would hinder him slightly. But I think, come on, lads! If Gareth Bale came up in a realistic deal with Real Madrid to bring him over for Paul Pogba, what would you do? That is my question of this video. Pogba for Bale, straight swap. Would you rather keep Pogba or would you take Bale? It's unrealistic, but let's talk about it. James Arnold, how's it going, James, with a super chat? Thank you so much for stopping by and getting your opinion. And he comments, Ed Woodward, pull your finger out, Glazers out. I mean, need you say more, James? Absolutely spot on. What does this man do? He just sits on his iron throne, plotting away the next commercial deal. Can we freaking get Pepsi? Soon we'll be sponsored by cash converters. Do you know what I mean? What an absolute tit of a man. Right, he has done a lot for the Glazers. He's done a lot for United from a financial point of view. But from a footballing point of view, actually getting successful signings to the club, moving the shite on, making these footballing decisions, he is absolutely putrid at doing that. So I totally agree with you, James. Thank you so much for your super chat. Sort yourself out, Woodward. Glazers out. They're running this club down into the ground. They really are. You know, I know they've spent, but they've never really 100% invested in the club. They've siphoned money out the club, stock exchange, all this stuff. I mean, obviously, they're businessmen. They see this as a business venture. It's making them a lot of money. It's a footballing behemoth. It will continue to make money for Manchester United, for the Glazers. So it's, of course, they would want to keep the club. What we need is somebody like a fan, like me, for instance, to win £68 billion or something like that, and then just buy the football club, and then I'll just pump loads of money into it, and it would be fine. But unfortunately, we've got owners who are businessmen who are not really fulfilling 100% of United's potential. Because how can you, when you are not fully committing, you're not fully go out there and backing the managers, you're not spending the money to bring these players in, you're also, you're not giving the fans value for money out there on the pitch. You know, as soon as some of the awful performances happen, there should be major consideration at Manchester United. And a lot of the time, we've just dilly-dallied. The likes of Woodward, we should have got rid of Mourinho a lot earlier, for instance. They just dilly-dally around, these guys. They really, really do. And I think that what we should be having at Manchester United is not an owner like that, and not a chief executive like that. So, oh man, I totally agree, James. It's so annoying to have these prats owning this football club, because they're not true fans. They're just American businessmen. Fair play to them, but we are the fans. We love this football club like they will not know. And the unfortunate thing is, it's theirs. there's not much you can do about it, you know, unless somebody came with a huge offer. There's not much we can do about it. So, unfortunately, in terms of competing with the likes of City, even the likes of Liverpool now, the likes of Chelsea, it's very difficult for us to, even though we are the biggest commercial successful football club in the country, it's still very difficult for us to be able to compete with the likes of those teams for signings and wages and things like that. Obviously, history would show that we do spend big. We do give players shitloads of wages, but we actually shouldn't be doing that right now anyway. But certainly in terms of competition and where the clubs are at the moment, man, it's a difficult proposition trying to get a player to convince them to go to United rather than the likes of City. Eric012 says, Pig, it's my birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Eric. Thanks for stopping by on the live stream on your birthday of all days. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you're wearing something other than your birthday suit as well. That'd be inappropriate. But cheers for getting involved here on your birthday, mate. Happy birthday. Everybody wish him a happy birthday. Nick Pendragon comments, G'day from down under, mate. G'day, Nick. How's it going, copper? Stick another shrimp on a barbie for me, pal, and chuck a like on this video. I'm not really that fantastic at doing the old Aussie accent, but there you go, mate. Thanks for stopping by from down under, son. Loving it. Jarvis Cocker comments and says, could we potentially sign Ryan Fraser from Bournemouth? He's a decent right winger as he left. Well, he is a good player, but whether or not, you know, we just signed Daniel James. I think they're actually quite similar players. I mean, it's an option. It is an option there, my friend. I mean, I definitely think he had an impressive season. I think he's had a couple of impressive seasons. But is he really top quality, United quality? I don't know. But certainly United should be looking to strengthen in all areas this summer transfer window. VK Dean comments and says, Maguire's not worth it. Alderweireld and Diaz available for cheaper. Delight money for Maguire. No, thank you. Fair enough. Well, we obviously have seen a great season from Delight over at Ajax. He was absolutely incredible. There's talk of Barcelona. There's talk of Manchester United, City, all the top clubs being mentioned about Delight. But yeah, I mean, he's 19 years of age. He would come into the Premier League and maybe have to adapt. I know he's been a great leader and a great player over there for Ajax and looks like the next incredible centre-back in European football. He really, really does. But still, it can also not pan out. It can not happen for him instantly at United. So, you know, okay, maybe he is worth that money. But I think Maguire's also worth that money right now. He's worth a similar sort of amount to Delight. I know Delight is an incredible player and is younger, significantly younger, got a lot more time ahead of him. Whoever gets that player, whether it be Barcelona or whatever, is going to have a fantastic player for the next decade. So it does make a lot of sense, actually, that he should be a little bit more than Maguire. So maybe I see what you're saying. But at this moment, United are in such a tricky situation where clubs know that we need players. Clubs know that we have the money. Clubs know that they don't want to get rid of their own players like Maguire. Leicester don't want to get rid of him. So we have to pay them. And unfortunately, that's what we have to do. Plus, he is English. That does add a bit of a premium on it, you know, for rightly or wrongly, because he's a homegrown English player. It does add a bit more money onto it in terms of signing a player for a Premier League side. So, yeah, I see what you're saying, but Alderweireld would be a great option. I totally hear you. If he's available, if United can get him, I think he would be a great addition to the side. He's obviously playing in that fantastic Belgian side with great players. He's been a great player for Spurs over the years. He's a player who I've admired as a centre-back. We definitely need to improve those positions. He's much better than Small Dong and Jones. If we could get Alderweireld and Maguire, for instance, both of them, get both of them. Because United need a huge overhaul. The players we've got at the club at the moment are absolutely gash at the back there. They really are. We definitely need new players in every single position. Get Wan-Bissaka, get Alderweireld, get Maguire. Just do it, Woodward. Pull your freaking finger out, lad, honestly. Thank you very much for your comment there, BK. Fair enough, you don't think Maguire's worth that sort of money. I wouldn't want to pay 80 million for him either. 60 million. Come on, Leicester. 60 million and a year's supply of Orcus crisps. BO comments with a valid point, says we need natural wingers, especially on the right. So, yeah, players like Daniel James certainly could be a good option. Of course, he can play either side, but he's young. That's what I mean. You can mould these players into the players that you want, but certainly specialised wingers, flying winger, it would definitely help to have that sort of a player. Somebody like Wan-Bissaka shouldn't be playing out in a wide position. Lots of people saying about getting Lozano. Obviously, good talent. Let's see how that one transpires. I don't think that's too much of a realistic option right now. We could sign him for probably somewhere in the region of 30 or 40 million. So it shouldn't be that unrealistic, but I don't know about that one. Neil Hater comments, easy pickets. Neil, how's it going, Neil? Thanks for stopping by. What do you think of the rumours regarding Ruben Dias? Looked a monster in the Nations League final, brother. Yeah, I've not seen too much from the lad, but certainly looks a very good player. I'd like to see Manchester United strengthen in all areas. I've said it before, if we can get players of this ilk, who have the potential, have quality, who are available and would relish the opportunity of playing for United and do look beastly and do have the heart and passion, then get those lads in there, because we don't have any bollocks at the club. We've just got melters and prima donnas. It's either or. We don't really have any true characters in there. We've either got melters like Jones and Smalling, or we've got prima donnas like Sanchez and Pogba. Wakas Akram comments, keep Pogba with Fernandes and Rabiot. It would improve the midfield. Well, okay, fair enough. Well, getting Fernandes and Rabiot in probably would improve the midfield, but Pogba might necessarily not. Although what you're saying their national side, Rabiot, Pogba link, etc. But I don't know about Paul Pogba at United. Look, there seems to be a lot more people these days wanting Paul Pogba to stay and have another chance and opportunity under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I respect that. But from the 3 years that he's been at the club for the second time around here, I don't see what all the fuss is about, man. Okay for France, okay for Juventus, but not at Old Trafford, not for United. His head goes down, his balls shrivel up, and he becomes a shadow of a man out there. Way too often. We need players with grit out there and bottle. Ah. Comment here from James Arnold. He says, if we start with the same back four, we are screwed. Just imagine that. United start the Premier League season with Jones, Smalling, Luke Shaw, and Ashley Young right back. Oh, that couldn't happen, could it? Could that actually happen? Surely not. Surely even Woodward's not that stupid. The fans would absolutely go mad if that happened, because we know we need to improve. We know we need to strengthen those positions. We do need players like Wan-Bissaka, even though the money's crazy. We do need players like Maguire, even though the money's crazy. So, you know, we shall see what happens, lads and lasses. Shani Arharan comments and says, nice to see you, Pig. Nice to see you too. Thanks to everybody who is tuning in right now on the live stream. Bit of a random time, bit of a random day, but I've just got the day off today after a tough week of work. So do us a freaking favour if you're in here. Get your thoughts in. I'd love to hear from you while you're around. We have a comment here from Donkey, who comments and says, did you see that our number sevens in the last 10 years have scored 15 goals in the Premier League? It's absolutely unbelievable, man. If that statistic's true, which I believe that it is, since Cristiano Ronaldo's left, who he's gone on to score like 330 goals or something, league goals, our number sevens have scored 15 goals combined. What an absolute freaking disgrace, man. That is a disgrace. The number 7 has been cursed since Ronaldo left. United need to break that curse. I don't say retire the number 7 jersey. Absolutely not. I say let's get another quality number 7. You know, we've had lots of players over the years who really did fill that number 7 position, whether it was, you know, your Cantona or your Becks or Ronaldo. So there's lots of players that United have had wearing that number 7 shirt over the years, and they were absolutely quality. We've not had that for years. We need one. We need a quality player in there. Come on, we can do something. Wakas Aklan comments, let Lukaku go, let Martial, Rashford and Greenwood develop. Fair play, yeah, I agree on the Lukaku thing. I just think if we can cash in somewhere in the region of 75 million, get him off our books, maybe use him as a bargaining chip in a deal, then we should do that, because I don't think he's really shown it at Manchester United. I think there are better options out there for us. But he's not the first position that we need to be strengthening. He's not the top priority position that we need to get rid of and strengthen. That's the annoying thing. Like, United should be getting rid of all of our shite players this transfer window and have a big change. You know, viva la revolution. Get a revolution at United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Allow him the opportunity to get rid of players and start a change at United. Bring new players in, a whole change of mentality, philosophy, character, and really have a go of it. That's what I'd like to see. But I just think United are unwilling to go out there and do the business in the transfer window to bring the players in. So we're going to have to keep on and hold on to most of this shite that we've got currently in this football club. And it's bloody wrong. It really is. Everybody knows for the last 10 years, 8 years, we've seen Smalling and Jones are no bloody good together at centre-back. You know, they're just useless. I mean, they are decent players. Don't get me wrong. They should be in the Premier League just about. West Brom or, you know, they're not a good example, but because obviously they're not there. But just as one of the lower teams in the Premier League, they shouldn't be playing for Manchester United, really. Thomas Clark comments, he's a shocking hold-up man. He's a poacher like Gary Lineker. Don't know who you're talking about there. I guess you're talking about Romelu Lukaku. But he's not really a poacher like Gary Lineker unless you're talking about somebody else. Because Lineker was literally like your sort of your Van Nistelrooy, your Michael Owen type, well, maybe not Michael Owen, but that type geezer. Fox in the box. Nick says Lukaku has turned into a lump. He's a forward, not Mr. Olympia. He does seem a little bit heavy for that sort of position. I know, obviously, physicality is a big part of his game. One of the only parts of his game, really. But of course, he doesn't really fit the mould of being that real nippy United striker. But he certainly is a good player. He can hold up the ball. He can bring others into play. Physical. He's basically like a good Emil Heskey. We've all said it before. Is he Emil in disguise? I don't know, but he plays like him sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with Emil if you want 10 goals a season and you want others brought into play. No worries with that. But I just don't think Lukaku is going to be that player for Manchester United anyway. Here we go. Jarvis with a little summary of players that we are linked to at the moment. I'll just read them out. Some of the rumours that are going around at United. He comments and says, cheaper tier footballers we are linked to. Lozano, 40 million. Rabiot, 3. Van der Beek, 25 million. Munier, 25 million. Tielemans, 40 million. Diaz, 60 million. Ziyech, 25 million. Who had a great season as well. So, yeah, that total of 250 million for 7 players that totally transform us. Fair enough. I do think, though, Jarvis, that is conservative. When it actually comes to it, United tabling those sorts of offers for these players, I don't think the club in question are going to want to give up those players for that amount of money when they know it's Manchester United coming. Maybe if it's right at the end of the window. But I think Manchester United are going to have to spend a little bit more than that on those players to bring them in. Obviously, Rabiot, you said 3 there, but yeah, I think Manchester United really need to strengthen in a lot of positions. You said 7 players there that really strengthen us. I would have to agree with you. But I do think United need to be a little bit more realistic with the amount of players that we sign. Because, okay, we need to sign players. We need to sign 4 or 5, 6 players. But we need to go out there and we need to do it. We've already signed 1. If we did sign the amount of players that you said, I just think maybe... I don't know if we'd be able to get rid of players. Do you know what I mean? Like, who's going to come in and buy Ashley Young, for instance, off us and take him off our books? Who's going to buy Jones and Smalling? Who's going to buy Sanchez? Who's going to buy these players? So the problem is, unless you get rid of all of them, which at the moment we've got rid of none of them, it's a little bit crazy to go out there and buy 7 new players, spend all that money on transfer money, and also then have to go and pay them shitloads of money in wages. When you've already got those other leechers at the club, sucking all that money out of the club, you have to almost get rid of them first. You've got to at least get the wheels in motion, have clubs come in, terminate contracts, whatever it may be. Obviously, I'm not talking about terminating contracts that have any considerable amount of time left. But if we could get rid of some of those players, maybe if, Maidstone want Chris Smalling back, or Blackburn want Phil Jones back, maybe they could come in for an offer and we could get rid of them. That's all I'm saying. And I do expect them, if they are to go to better clubs than that, because I'm sure there are some clubs around the Premier League that would actually like Chris Smalling in their side. I don't know who they are, but there must be some team that would take Chris Smalling off our hands for a small nominal transfer fee. But then again, the wages are quite a lot. We shall see what happens in regards to that. But so far, Woodward, he may be showing financial nous, but he's showing all the footballing nous of a freaking Irish woodworm, which makes no sense at all. But there you go. Here we go. Let's go to Girish Kemba comments, Zlatan is a leader on and off the pitch. I feel his presence is surely missed. I 100% agree with you, man. I think if you look at what he's done over in the MLS, he's still got it. Some of the technical goals that he's scoring. Do you see that overhead kick that he set up for himself the other day and just banged it in? I mean, some of the goals, the amount of goals, I'm sorry, he would still score a lot of those goals against Premier League keepers, even though the goalkeepers are not as good over there, even though the teams in general are not as good over there. Even at the ripe old age of 36, whatever he is, he's still a good player. He would have still done just as good, if not better, than Lukaku, because he's a more technically gifted, more intelligent player. You saw when he was at Manchester United that first season what a remarkable player he was, because United was shite. But when he got the ball to Zlatan, man, did he get his head on it. Man, did he whipping a crazy volley. And he was quality for us. And unfortunately, we lost that focal point when he left, and we haven't really replaced it. And we do need to talk about that. Of course, Lukaku was supposed to be that man. Didn't work out. Oh, right, let me get down in the comments a little bit. I'm just reading some of the top ones here. So I'll try and just skip a few out so I can get down to the bottom here. So I don't miss you guys out. Gungshi in the house. How's it going, Gungshi, with the super chat? Thank you so much for getting involved here. Good to see you, mate. Thank you for getting in here. I don't know what the time is over there, but I'm thinking it's stupid o'clock, so I appreciate you stopping by. He comments, hopefully there are a good few signings to come in this window. We really need to get in a director of football ASAP. Get that goblin Woodward out of footballing decisions. Yes, you've summarised it perfectly there, as ever. Because he is a footballing goblin. He might be a financial, businessman and really good at getting these commercial deals for United. Fine, that should be your role at the club then, Potato King. It shouldn't be a case of him brokering deals with clubs, contacting deals for, clubs for deals with players, because he's not really intertwined in the footballing community like that. How would he be? He's a banker. He's a merchant banker. So I don't see how he would be. But if you get somebody like, Rio Ferdinand said he'd like the opportunity. Just somebody who's got a good love of Manchester United, who knows a lot of footballers, past players, coaches, ex and present, and who can actually have an impact at bringing footballers into the club. And I'm not saying he's the best man for the job. I'm just saying somebody else, Van der Sar or Schmeichel, anybody but Woodward, basically, or at least somebody, give the opportunity to somebody to be in charge of the footballing decisions at the club. I'm talking about axing players. I'm talking about getting, rid of youth players, bringing players in, recruitment and scouting and things like that should actually be maybe administered by the footballing director. United could do with one of those. Lots of clubs have them around the world, and you see a lot of positives from it. United, we've got Woodward in charge, who's doing good financially, but that's about all he's doing. He's not doing good from any other department, really. Thank you so much for getting your comment and thought in and super chat in there, Gungshi. Much appreciated as ever. Lack of videos recently. Going to try and do more for you guys, so appreciate you getting in here and supporting the channel. Paul Whelan commenter says, I remember when we had 4 strikers. As long as the Glazers run this club, we will be swapping one striker for another. Good shout, man. Do you remember the depth, the strength in depth we used to have? 4 strikers at United was always the way. It really was under Sir Alex Ferguson. Whether it be you had York and Cole and Solskjaer and Teddy Sheringham, or latterly you had people like Alan Smith and Ruud van Nistelrooy and Berbers and mine's gone a blank. But yeah, there's definitely other times when we had 4 strikers. Certainly under Alex Ferguson, brought Michael Owen in to be a 4 striker for us once, that sort of stuff. Whereas United right now, we don't have the depth up there. Of course, the game has changed slightly. A lot of teams don't play with 2 strikers these days. So maybe you only need 3 strikers, but we don't have 3 quality strikers either. United's depth at the moment is the worst it's been since I can remember in my lifetime, really. The general squad quality is awful, but the depth we've got at the club is really poor. When you look at the depth that the likes of City or the likes of Chelsea have on the bench, it is stronger than Manchester United, and Manchester United should have a much richer talent pool to choose from. Unfortunately, we've got a bag of shite out there in the first team and a slightly bigger bag of shite on the subs bench. James Arnold says, Gungshi in the house. Yes, he is. What a legend. Thanks for stopping by, Gungshi and James Arnold, all you guys. Bunch of legends. Ludwig Hedenborg comments, hey, Pig, can't we have a garage sale of players for the championship teams? I don't know why when people say garage sale, they have to say garage, like the Americanism of it. Because you can't really say, can I have a garage sale? Because English people don't say garage. We say garage, right? So but when you say garage sale, it sounds like the sale of an actual garage. Like, would you like to buy my garage? Not, I'm having a sale, like a yard sale. Maybe we'll just use yard sale. Anyway, I digress. He says, can't we have a garage sale of players for the championship teams? Yes, my friend, I think that's what we should do. We've got lots of players at the club that could maybe go and do a really good job over the championship. Ashley Young springs to mind, for instance. I don't think championship teams are going to pay those sorts of wages, though. That's the problem. We pay well at Manchester United. The likes of Young got a new contract recently. Jones and Smalling, they're paid good money. I don't see too many Championship players forking out the money, but there obviously are occasions like John Terry signing, Kieran Gibbs are probably on a reasonable amount. Players like that who play in the Championship. But I would think, certainly if not Championship, then lower Premier League sides, maybe a couple of random teams around Europe, Real Sociedad, someone like that would like to come in and take Smalling. Please do it. Jay Harrod says, hope you're well today, Pig. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, Jay, when I say it, because it says J-A-I, which could be Jai, Jai Harrod. So, Jay, whatever it may be. Gungshi comments and says, Zlatan was the last true leader we had. Absolutely, he was a true leader. He was able to lead from the front. He was able to be that match winner, be that game changer, lead with heart, drag the team forward, and be a game changer. He was all those things. It's just a shame that we couldn't keep hold of him and that he was at the time of his career that he was. Because if we could have got him earlier on, man, and just had a few more years out of him, we'd have been set. Because he was a true match winner. He reminded me a lot of Robin van Persie. When we got Robin van Persie, I remember the first game Robin van Persie played for United. It's like the ball's played into him. He does some crazy left-footed volley from outside the box and smashes it into the back of the net. And it's like, shit, man, he just made that goal out of nothing, basically. Yeah, there was a pass into him, but just the ability to stick that ball in the back of the net at the first time of asking was just incredible. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic had that same impact at United when he came to the club. What a masterstroke that was, actually, by the club to bring him in on a free. That really was. Fair play to Woodward and Jose and the people that brought him in. That was a masterstroke signing, and it really did work out well for us that season. He was a huge factor in us actually finishing up there in a respectable position. And without him, we definitely felt the loss. We really did. We tried to appease that by getting Lukaku in, but we couldn't do it. He's no Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan is a special type of player. He really is. He does stuff with the football that absolutely mesmerizes me, like that overhead kick the other day. Could you see Romelu Lukaku pulling that off? The ball's come into him. He's kicked it over his head. He's swiveled and he's overhead kicked it into the goal. I mean, the guy's insane. The goal against England, when he's done Joe Hart with that overhead, he scores goals that nobody will score. He's that sort of special player. He really is. He's in the top tier of players over the last decade or so for me. Right up there. Thank you for your comment again, Gunshi. Gaz Newton says, love this channel, Pig. All the class of Zlatan himself. Thank you very much, Gaz. Much appreciated for the love there. Yeah, with the old man bun I've got on the go, I look a little bit like Zlatan, some people say. Maybe just like a cracked out version of Zlatan. A Zlatan down on his luck. Alex Rudd in the house. He's just stuck in for the cheeky end of this video here. We've been going 52 minutes. Alex, thanks for stopping by. I guess it's early morning over there in NYC. I hope it's beautiful over there, pal. It is absolutely gash in England at the moment. The weather is just terrible. It's not a good June. It's not been a good summer so far. What is going on with the summer? What's going on with the summer in terms of the weather? And what's going on in terms of getting players at Manchester United? It has been a shitter of a summer so far. Alex Rudd comments, Lukaku looked terrible for Belgium yesterday. I know he had 2 goals, but he was spoon-fed those chances by Hazard and De Bruyne. Just waking up for work. I mean, I actually thought he looked good from what I saw, although I did only really see the highlights of the game. So, and the highlights are him scoring 2 goals. So, yeah, fair enough, my friend. I didn't see too much on it, but of course, you can't really say a player's had a bad game when he scored 2 goals. He's still in the right place at the right time and finished them off, as he should. If that's all he did in a game, that's a big portion of the game that's deserved to him, if you know what I mean. That is a good contribution to the game. But thank you for getting in here, my moderator. He comments and says, I've already read your last comment. Just got up from just waking up for work. I hope you have a good day at work anyway, Alex. Thanks very much for getting in here with your comments before you go. I'm going to be wrapping this video up soon anyway, but you just stopped by in time. Johnny Blauwal comments, Pigmate, let's hope we get some defenders in. Even a couple of ducks would be better than what we've got now. Fair play, Johnny. I do think that United need to strengthen the back line. I'd like to see Jones gone. I'd like to see Smalling gone. Valencia's already gone. I think he's been great for us, but the time was right. He was aging. I'd like to see Ashley Young gone, even though he's a decent utility player. But certainly we need to bring in top quality centre-backs. I know we've got Lindelof, who looks good. I know we've got Bailey, who at times look really good. But we need to bring in top quality centre-backs. They need to be our deputisers, if you like. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that just show you strength in depth? we'd go from having a shite back line to a really good strength in depth. If we got rid of Jones and Smalling, let's say we just did something crazy, like we managed to sign Maguire and Alderweireld. Then you've got Alderweireld and Maguire, 2 seasoned Premier League players, 2 great players in their own right who've played successfully for Premier League sides for years. Get them in there. Then who have you got deputising? Who have you got coming in the cup games? Who have you got coming in as substitutions, covering injury? You've got Bailey and Lindelof. Oh, it sounds good. Or some sort of combination of that anyway. Gunners with another comment. I hope Ollie develops a good system that suits the players we have next season, because we were all over the place last season. Absolutely. I would just like to see us do what we did when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer first took over. It's like the players were playing with the shackles off. They were going for it, playing lots of forward direct balls, lots of forward runs, committing numbers forward, defending high. You know, when we play deep and we play slow and we allow the opposition onto us to try and counter, it doesn't really suit us, because I don't think we've got great defenders. We allow pressure onto us. We don't have great ball-playing defenders who are comfortable on the ball like that at the back. So it invites pressure onto us, and it doesn't suit us. We saw that under Jose Mourinho, and we saw that latterly under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer towards the end of the season. But that spell when he had us playing great forward-flowing, attacking football, that's what we should try and replicate. Whatever we were doing there, let's do more of that, because we were getting down the wing. We were whipping balls, and we had numbers in there to receive those balls, and we were playing all sorts of varied football. It almost happened overnight, and then as soon as the interim manager went out the window and he became permanent manager, he had a flip. The switch flipped. I don't know what happened there. It was really bizarre, but we just started to revert to old. We started to revert to the way that we played under Jose Mourinho again, and I know it's hard to get that out of it. Maybe the philosophy they've been playing for a couple of years, but still, the players, the manager, Ollie, we got it wrong towards the end of the season. We do need a new system, a new style of play, and it should be one that is aiming to be, I know I hate to say it, right, but it should be trying to play the sort of football that Liverpool play. I mean, just imagine that Jurgen Klopp came to Manchester United when he went to Liverpool. Instead of that, at the time, he would have been a good option. He actually would have. But just imagine that he comes to Manchester United, he gets us playing that type of football. Maybe he wouldn't be here with the way this club is actually run. Who knows? But let's just say he did get the job as manager. We wouldn't be playing the sort of football that Josie had us playing. We wouldn't be playing the way we did towards the end of the season under Ollie. We would be playing the sort of football that Liverpool are playing, more than likely, because he'd have brought players in that he wants to play that type of way. And we should be trying to play attacking, attractive football that's tight at the back, obviously. We do hit them quick and pacey on the counter-attack with the players that we've got. But also we can break teams down. Also we are just a flying attacking unit. That's what United should be. I hate to say it. Props to Liverpool, man. They're one of the best teams around at the moment. In terms of the way they play, in terms of attacking, entertaining football, you've got to take your hat off to Liverpool, man. United, we need to be that team. We were that team under Sir Alex for years. Now we are far from that team. We're a far cry from that team. We're a shell of a team. We need to get back there. And the only way we're going to get back there is if Ole Gunnar changes the style, the mentality, buys players, is allowed to buy players that he thinks will come in and do the job that he wants in that system, better than the current shite we've got. Anyway, guys, that's it for me today. I'm going to wrap it up. We're approaching an hour, but I do want to say to everybody who's tuning in, thanks so much for stopping by on the channel. Do us a big favour, smash a like on this video before you go. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you up to date with Manchester United news and stuff like that's going on over the summer. Hopefully there's some movement from United at the moment. Hopefully Woodward pulls his big fat finger out, sorts his freaking knife out, brokers some sort of deals for Manchester United. Or better yet, we announce a football director and we get somebody in who's capable of doing the job and he can stick to counting the numbers in the background. Yeah, that's about it from me. So did want to shout out to my Patreon followers before I go, actually. Appreciate everyone who goes on there and supports the channel like that. So shout out to Matt Norton, Alex Rincon, Alex Rudd, Robbo, Torsten Voigt and Wolfgang Lang. You're a bunch of legends. Thanks very much. Links in the description if you want to check it out. But anyway, you can also follow me on social media at Mr. Flying Pig HD on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Please go ahead and do that if you're not already. And I'll see you very, very soon, lads and lasses. I've been the pig. You've been a bunch of legends, as per usual. To everybody who's commented today, much appreciated. I am going to do a few shout outs before I go. Hopefully get your names in at the end here. Johnny, Blauwau, Barter Thompson, Callum Martin, Gungshi, Kieran Jones, Al Rickney, Lalu Pato, Bio and Gaz Newton. You're a bunch of legends. Thanks very much for stopping by on the channel. Like, subscribe, comment. I'll see you soon. Come on, United. Sort your freaking lives out. Let's see some movement in the transfer window. Some more movement. Let's get some quality. Let's get rid of some of the shite, importantly, as well. Jones, Smalling, Young, they're all still stinking up the place. Still paying Sanchez $450 a week. It's a disgrace. Sort your lives out. Anyway, this is the Pig. Thanks very much for watching. Have yourselves a good day. You'll be hearing from me soon. Take it easy.